So what I want to talk about right now is something I did talk about at the seminar a little bit, but I kind of want to gear this especially towards shorting. So when you guys are looking for shorts and you guys are looking for a shorting play, a lot of you guys are what? You go into your broker, pressing short and trying to get into that play. When I'm looking for a long play, what's the number one thing I'm looking at? I'm looking at the level two. I'm looking at the time and sales. I dove in on this at the seminar as well, talking about what I'm looking for in the level two, the time and sales. Basically, I'm staring at the bid and the ask, and I'm just watching at the side of the corner of my eye, that time and sales move. If that time and sales is moving very quickly, that means again we're going to get a lot of volume. So to understand how to read a level two for shorting, we have to first understand how to read it on the long side. So I have to repeat a couple things just to make sure everyone's all caught up. So when I'm looking for a breakout, okay, I'm looking for a breakout, I'm looking for a run, I'm looking for a pop. What am I looking at? I'm looking at the level two, okay? And when I'm looking at the level two, I'm staring at the bid and the ask. And the number one thing I want to look at is I want to see the bid have more bids than ask. I want the share sizes to be bigger than the ask. And at the corner of my eye, I'm watching the time and sales. So that's extremely important that you guys know. So I do just want to bring this over a little bit so we have a little bit of demonstration. I'm saying, hey, let's watch for a breakout. Let's watch for a rip. Let's watch for a pop. What I'm looking for is one, the time and sales. The time and sales is going to tell us how much volume is in on a play. It doesn't matter what this is saying. Obviously, again, this says 43.39. This one says 5.36. To me, it doesn't matter. All I want to do is see the time and sales move. All I want to do is see the time and sales run. I want to go and, rip it on through. Like right here, this is slow. This is slow. Nothing has come down right here, right now. Right here, down here, this is slow. Nothing is coming down. There's not hot volume right now on this play. Now you guys could go over to, let's go over to www.yahoofinance.com for a second. We go over to yahoofinance.com and we say to ourselves what? Okay, AWX. You type in AWX and then you say, well, Sean, AWX right here, its volume is 8.7 million. That's very, very hot. Its average volume is 262,000. What you need to understand in day trading is I don't care how much overall volume it has throughout the day. I care about the volume that's on it right now. Because that big, 2 million, a lot of it probably happened here, and a lot of it probably happened here, and maybe a little bit right here. But right now, at this current state, does it have a lot of hot volume towards it? No. At this current time, right now, this second, does it have a lot of volume? People always say, oh, what number do I need to look at to see, what hot volume there is? There is no certain number. There's no specific number. All it is watching this time and sales to see, if it's going to be hot or not. Right now, no orders are going through. If no orders are going through, a stock can't move. If a stock can't move, we're not going to get, up and down movement, a price action. And if we're not getting up and down price action, guess what? I can't make any money. So you say, oh, wow, 2 million float stock. This stock is extremely hot. Sometimes I see stocks spike huge from 930, 945, and it has 10 million or whatever, 10 million shares traded. But then what happens? At 10 o'clock, it just goes sideways the rest of the day. And then people at 1 o'clock are saying, oh, this stock is so hot. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, oh, 10 million volume. I was like, yeah, but that was from this morning. That has nothing to do right now. So when you're looking at, a play, when I'm looking at the long side to get in, I'm looking at the time and sales. I don't really care again what the numbers are right here. I just want to see it moving. That's what I want. I want to see it moving. I want it looking like a crazy. You ever see where people put like money into that money counting machine, and you put it on the top, and the money comes flying out like that? That's what I want. How fast I want this thing going. The more volume, the more activity equals the more profit. Volume equals activity. Activity equals profit. So I want this thing going crazy. So obviously, if I'm on the long side, I don't need to read every single number. I want to see more green than red, but I'm not even really staring at the level two. I want to stare at the bid and I want to stare at the ask. At the side of my vision, my peripheral vision, that's picking up my time and sales right now. Like right now, I'm staring at the bid. If I stare at the bid, I can still see this. If I'm staring at the ask, I can still see this. Right now, I'm not even, again, looking at the time and sales at all, but I can still see this. I can still see what color it is. I can still see that it's not moving. When I'm looking at the level two, I want to see the bid, I want to see the ask, and I want to see this thing ripping. If I'm looking for the long side, obviously I want to see this thing ripping and I want to see more green. If I'm looking on the long side, I'm looking for the bids to stack and the ask to start, being smaller. Right now, again, like we have BPI. The bids are, pretty stacked. We have 200, 200, 100, 100, 100. Let's just count. Let's get rid of the size for a second. Let's get rid of the sizes for a second. Don't worry about that. What is like the bids being stacked? Let's say all these equal to 100. Everything equal to 100 right here on the bottom level 2. BPI, everything equals 100. The bid being stacked means here's $12, $12, $12, $12, $12 versus 1205, 1205. If we have more $12 buyers than sellers, what's going to happen? $12 is going to hold, and what happens? The stock is going to look to make a move on up like it's doing right now. The bid stacking indicates that this is strong support, this is weakness, because it's like 1201. It's like basically 5 versus 1 or 6 versus 1. Imagine getting in a fight, 6 versus 1. Who's going to win? Probably the 6 versus 1, right? So when we're looking for a stacked bid, that means it's a good sign that the stock can continue to move on up. Look at all the people willing to buy at 1201. Look at all the now there's a couple more people trying to come in and sell at 1205, but that's why the stock is all the way up at 1205. They're trying to break it down because all these people are saying no, we're not going to sell here. You could sell, but you got to take out that guy. Then you got to take out that guy. 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 And that's why again it's up towards 1205. So it's like again it's like a battle. It's a fight. It's like, okay, if you want to get through us, you got to beat us all up. And it's like, all right, well, I'm probably not going to win this one, but I'll try. And what happens? Usually, again, the people who have the biggest bids or, again, the most bids, the stock continuously moves on up, climbs. But with that being said, we need to think of something. What's the other variable, let's say, in a battle? Let's put this on the top one so you guys can stare at it a little bit more. There's another variable if we're saying let's get into a 6-on-1 fight. If we're in a 5-on-1 or a 6-on-1 fight, obviously you think about that and you say, okay, I'm probably going to lose. But what's the one kind of occasion that you could win? Let's say me. Again, I'm a decent-sized guy right here. I'm, about 6'1", 6'2". Little side note as well. Time out here. At the seminar, everyone was like, oh, Dek, I thought you were going to be a lot shorter. Everyone was like, I thought you were like 5'8". Like, I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, 205 pounds. People are like, yeah, I didn't even think you were going to be that big. I thought you were going to be like this little small guy. Again, thanks. All right, but anyway, with that being said, if we are in a fight and it was 6 versus 1, it sounds like immediately we would lose, correct? But what if I'm the one, fighted a whole bunch of 7th graders? Who would probably win? I think I could take 6 7th graders on. There's more of them than me. But you know what? I can definitely take them on. So what does that translate over to a level 2? You're going to be like, wow, I can't believe Dek's talking about beating up 7th graders. It's an example. Stick with me here. So let's, kind of fix this real quick. I'm going to make it a little example. So right here, we could see it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, who's most likely going to win this one? This one, again, well, now the size, I guess you would say, you could say, okay, if these are all 100 shares, it's like 24-year-old versus 24-year-old, 200-pound guy versus 200-pound guy. It's basically 3 200-pound people versus 5 200-pound people. Pretty equal fight, right? But what you have to account for, where the size comes in of each person, is right here, where literally it says size. So sometimes we may have like 6 people or 7 people, but if they are, let's say, 400 shares, 100 shares like this. Imagine it says 100, 300, 300, 400, 100. That's roughly right around 1,200 shares. Okay, cool. If we have, let's say, 3 1205 people, sometimes you'll have this, but this guy will be like 30. Let's say we'll make this 33,000 shares. And this guy maybe 3,000 shares. And this guy maybe 10,000 shares. So it's, even though this group right here has what? This group has more people. These guys are bigger. This is like MMA fighters right here going against like 8th graders. There's more 8th graders, but these guys are MMA fighters. Who do you think's going to win? These guys. These guys are going to win. So even though there's less of them, they're still going to win over on the stock's going to start heading back on down. So like this, like right here, this is really big. You can see there's a really big bid right here, right? We got our bids being stacked at this moment, right? Bids being stacked. And who do you think is going to win? Well, we've been looking at the stock since it's been at 1201, and it's all the way up at 1207. Why is it all the way up at 1207? Because it's an equal fight. 300, 400, 100. But then we have 100, 300, 100, 300, 300, 100, 100, 100. So it's a pretty equal fight, and there's just more of them. Look how many more of these guys are. So if there's more bidders than sellers, guess what? The stock's going to continue to climb. It's going to continue to bully these guys, right? And now look where we're at. Now we're all the way up at 1210, and now the bids are moving on up. Now we're at now we're at 1217 because we are bullying the ask right now, and the 1211 are still moving on up. Look at us bully the BPI right now. Bids are just bullying this at the moment. But what's going to eventually happen at some point? Eventually, we're going to get up so high, and then the tides are going to turn. We're going to get very high up right here, and this is going to switch, where all the bids are going to only have one or two people willing to buy, and everyone's going to switch over to the selling side. And when we switch over to the selling side, what's going to happen right here? Now the sellers are going to start winning, and the stock's going to start heading on down. But so far, we've gone from what? Around $12, hitting all highs all the way up towards around 12.17 because the bid continuously stacks on up and is continuously breaking the ask. And I try to make it relatable. I try to make it, make these analogies so you guys understand it. Okay, I don't know how relatable taking, 6-on-1. I don't know what you do on your free time deck, against seventh graders. But no, again, trying to just make it so you guys can understand it. Get it outside the stock terminology. Try to make it something that you guys can really get. So right now, again, what do we have? Look at this guy, 2,900. So even though right here, there was only now they're starting to get a little bit more. This 2,900 guy, if this is all seventh graders, this guy is like a freshman in college. Like he can bully a lot more of these people. So when we break down the level 2, what are we looking for on our buy side? We're simply looking for what? We're looking for more bidders than sellers. But that's not always the case because we could have one big seller that could bully all 6 little all bids. So we always have to look at the bids, how many there are, the ask, how many there are. If we're looking for a breakout, we want to see what? We want to obviously see more bids than ask, but we also want to look at the share size. We want to keep that in account because if the share size is 100, 100, 200, 100, 100, and then we have 10,000, 8,000, 6,000, who's going to win? This side over here, because that's, again, a big stone cold wall that people are not going to be able to break through. So that's what we're looking for. And you saw a perfect example right here on BPI on how the stock is able to progress. Because right here, it's an equal battle. When it was at $12, it was an equal fight. And since there was more bidders than ask, the stock was able to progress. Now, if we're looking for shorting, guys, if we're looking for a short sell, we're doing the same exact thing, only we're switching it. That's it. But I want you guys to understand what to look for. So now if we want the stock to go red or go down, we're still keeping our eyes on the bid and ask. Our peripheral vision is still right here. We want to see more volume. We could see, some decent volume, but we do want to still see volume. Little side note though, we will always have more volume when a stock is going up than it is when it goes down. Obviously, you could see a hard crack. You could see a hard drop. Yes, and there's definitely a lot of volume. But a stock going up will have a lot more volume because there's a lot more kind of excited traders. When stocks are falling, they may act a little bit slower. So when you come up for a breakout mark, you're looking for a break of resistance. You're looking for a stock to rip. At a breakout, you'll see the time and sales really go. You'll see the time and sales, again, we're staring at it with the side of our eyes. You'll see a lot of green, and you'll see this thing ripping. You'll see the bids moving up quick. You'll see the ask vanishing. And then you'll also see, again, just the whole top number right here really climb very quickly. Now, when we come up to our sell area, what's going to happen? When we come up to a very tough resistance line where it's going to start turning, we're going to see volume come in, but it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to be a little bit lighter. We're going to see a lot of red, and we're just going to reverse everything we just saw. We're going to see the ask gets a lot bigger. The bids are going to get weak. Again, how's a big sign of weakness? So we're looking at BPI. Where's the sign of weakness on BPI? BPI sign of weakness would go to 1198, 1199. Psychologically, you see a stock fall below its current number, its whole number, that's showing weakness. We're right here above $12. Right here, we're showing that we have a lot of $12 support. If it goes from $12 to $11.99, that's 1 penny. But that psychologically hurts you. That's 1 penny. But that psychologically shows traders that we cannot hold $12. And that's when the asks start flooding in. And that's when bidders start selling a lot more. And that's where you may see it pull all the way down towards 11.75 or so. So, BPI right here, you definitely got to understand that. And it's been, great working with this play right here, being able to read it exactly. On the same time, people always ask, can you see shorts on the level two? Shorts don't come up on the level two. They are going to be coming just on the ask side. They look like a cell. So it doesn't like come up and 1209 is going to have like a little S next to it. It doesn't have anything. It just still looks like buyers and sellers, but some of these sellers could be shorters. So when you are, let's recap real quick. Recap. If we're looking for a long, a breakout, we come up to resistance. Creeping up, coming up to resistance, right? What are we looking for? Crazy hot volume, going all the way through. We want to see this thing all green. And then what else do we want to see? We want to see the bid stacking and the ask getting smaller. So we want 5 versus 1, 6 versus 1, an easy fight to win. With that being said, we do need to take account the share size. Because the share size right here, what's going on? If the share size is 100, 100, let's say it's a 2-on-2 fight, 100 versus 100, but then right here, it's 10,000 versus 5,000, who's going to win? Again, these guys. If it's, again, MMA fighters or 7th graders, the MMA fighters are probably going to win. So that's when the stock's going to start heading back on down south. Look at this. Sign of weakness right here. The bids right now are dropping to 11.98. The bids need to get back above $12. And they got to get back above soon. And there's a little bit of a crack of 11.98. Now, again, we are starting to see some more volume. So you notice the volume starting to come in right here? Because, again, sellers, psychological. People are saying, whoa, whoa, $12 isn't holding on up. I'm a little nervous. That's why we just had a couple big orders go through right here. These are all things that you guys have to understand. These are all things that you guys have to be able to see when you guys are reading level 2. I'm not looking over here when I'm in a trade. When I'm in a trade, I'm not really paying attention to this. Now, I obviously want to know where my trend line is. I obviously want to know where the past chart history is, where I could see some resistance and such. But I am really not looking over here too much. Look at the level 2 coming in, $12, psychological drop right there. Now, again, bids all the way at 11.90. So that's very important. And again, let's put on the right play right here. BPI, you see down towards 1190, and that's all again psychology. So it's very, very important that you guys, understand this. So, BPI, great example, just reading this level too. Being able to, again, we weren't even looking at the chart at all. We weren't even looking at the chart at all. And we could say like right here, you know what? We know we have like 1225 resistance. We have some support down towards around 1150. We have some support right down here next to this 1150 mark, which is awesome. And that's definitely great to know. It's definitely great to know. It's great to have in the back of our head. But when I'm actually in a trade, this is what I'm looking at. And we could see we were able to predict this and read this on the upside. And we're also, again, able to predict this and read this on the downside as we just did. All we're doing is reversing. More ask we want to see coming in. The bids will start getting a little bit weaker. It will be a little bit slower on the downside, but you'll see a lot more red. But right now, again, 1190 is main support. 1190 is stacking. Right now we don't have as many asks. So again, 1190 looks like it's going to hold at this time. And then it's going to maybe try to progress its way back on up. But the level 2 right here is so important for you guys to see. So important. Now, with that being said, these are what? These are limit orders in. You could say, what about a market order? Well, a market order doesn't come in on a level 2, obviously. If someone market orders in 100 shares right now, it's just going to fill the, this guy right here. It's going to fill this guy, and that guy will be filled. And then it would be the price would be at 11.94. The bid would adjust, and the ask would be at 11.97 next. So you can't always see, again, market orders coming because they're not going to be sitting on the bid or the ask. Like this guy just sold 1,250 shares. And again, right here, it came down to 1190, but now bidders are saying, hey, no, we don't want that falling down below 1190. We're going to move up to 1191, kind of reassure us a little bit. Oh, little drop. Look at that. Now selling even more. Someone took out all 1191s, and look at this thing drop even more. You saw the volume come in, a lot more red, but where did this really turn? What's the main thing I want you guys to see here? The psychological drop that came through after the crack of $12, right? The psychological drop after this thing came down through $12. The moment it started coming down to $12, people said what? Weakness. The moment this went down $12, people said, it can't hold $12. I'm getting out of my position. And that's where it really started taking a nice little turn. So this is how you guys should be reading a level 2. You have to know again on a long side what to look for, and you want to look for on the short side. Now, this takes a lot to, understand at first, but I promise once you guys, do it for a while, it becomes very easy. Deck, you're telling me I have to stare at the time and sales while looking at the bid and the ask, not only counting how many bids there are, but also counting the ask, and on the same time, looking at the current size on both of them and it be able to understand the current price? It's really not that tough. Okay, I know it sounds like a lot. It is, but you're basically again just staring bid, ask, going back and forth. You can look up, see the current price. It's not very tough to see that there's four orders versus ones. I can see that these are all rather small. I can see that's rather small. Again, I'm able to read it very very quickly. But that's just again a great little practice. And start with slower stocks. Start with slower plays, and then as things progress, you can start moving a little bit more towards hotter plays. And you could see hotter plays can really take on off, and hotter plays can really rip. You could start with bigger plays and then move your way down to penny stocks. If you want to learn to read a level 2, you can do it during this time. Obviously, at 2:44 in the afternoon, there's not too much going on. So again, this is a perfect time to kind of just test your skills. And then from there, again, when's the hottest time? The hottest time is the morning. So that's when, again, you can really look to test your skills. And also, maybe right at the end of the day, you can really look to test your skills. But the level 2 will tell you and can predict which way the stock's going to be heading next, depending on how many people are buying, how many people are selling. What's the fight? 6-on-1, 1-on-2, 1-on-1? Is it an even fight, or is it MMA versus seventh graders? Figure these things out. It's going to help you so much. It's going to help you become a better trader. Level 2 reading, absolutely beautiful.